Coming up on The Real Story, 4 voices shaping Maryland's future, a community-centered council chair who expanded representation, a new generational leader working for safer communities and stronger schools, a Marine turned legislator committed to transparency and public financing, and a police lieutenant who built Maryland's award-winning crisis intervention program. Their stories and what they mean for Baltimore and Anne Arundel County starts right now.
With a long-standing reputation for honesty and follow-through, Charm City Builders is proud to be one of Baltimore's most trusted home buyers. And in a world of quick fixes and empty promises, Charm City Builders stands apart. We're local, we're veteran-owned, and we've been buying houses in Baltimore for years.
Welcome to The Real Story. Every election is about more than just slogans. It's about the people who step forward to serve. Today we're talking with 4 candidates who come from very different backgrounds: local government, community organizing, the Marine Corps, and law enforcement. But they share a commitment for making Maryland better. We'll hear about their paths, their priorities, and why they believe that they're prepared to lead. Let's get into our first guest. It's Izzy Patoka, a former community planner and youth coach. Izzy was elected to Baltimore County Council in 2018. He was re-elected in 2022 and chosen by his colleagues as council chair for 2024. He championed legislation to expand the council from 7 to 9 members, balanced the county budget while increasing funding for public schools. He also sponsored Baltimore County's Bring Your Own Bag bill to reduce plastic waste. Izzy tells us why community-centered government and environmental stewardship are cornerstones on his run for county executive. Today on The Real Story, we're with Izzy Patoka. Mr. Patoka, how are you?
I'm doing well, Michael. Good to see you.
I'm sure you've been quite busy.
I have been extremely busy. I'm running for county executive. The election's in just a couple of weeks.
What are you hoping to accomplish if you get elected to the county executive position?
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about my background, Michael. So I'm an urban planner by trade.
Okay.
And an urban planner touches a lot of facets of government: parks, schools, roads. And so it's prepared me well for the future. And I think one of the most important things that I'm trying to accomplish is to make sure that our schools provide a world-class education, that there's a level of affordability, particularly now in this time when you have the Trump administration creating an environment where gas prices, fuel prices are so high,
Sure.
which has caused grocery prices to increase, and not to mention our BG&E bills that come each month. So trying to create a level of affordability, trying to make sure that there are places for people to get fresh fruits and groceries where there are food deserts, to try to minimize those. And I also believe it's important that our commercial corridors are strong, our economy is strong. And I think given the experience that I've been lucky enough to gain over the years, I'm well positioned to do the job.
Can you talk to me more about your plans, if any, for prevention programs or what we can do for students and people in the educational backgrounds when it comes to substance use and mental health?
So substance abuse and mental health are key issues for me. I'm going to create a brand new office called the Office of Community Conservation. It's going to be a signature agency of the Patoka administration, and it'll include some of the key elements of areas that I'm trying to address. I also, Michael, want to keep in touch with the subject matter experts like yourself, because we are not, believe it or not, elected officials are not subject matter experts in everything. We want everyone to have a seat at the table and address issues that are that impact us across our community.
What is your opinion on the drug court system, exoneration, over treatment, and so on?
Well, I think it's not so much a criminal issue for me. It's more an issue of a health issue. And so I think we need to treat addiction and other things that occur resultant of addiction as part of a health issue.
The restrictions surrounding residential treatment centers when a zoning and use and occupancy perspective is very, very difficult in Baltimore County. It involves public hearings, et cetera. And oftentimes in other counties, we found a lot of not in my backyard. And being a homeowner in Baltimore County, I wouldn't want an unregistered methadone clinic in my neighborhood. However, the idea of being able to then have a designated zoning code or some place to say, we need this so we can go here, so there's some solution.
Yeah, I think there's two issues related to. One is the facility managed appropriately? And a well-managed facility will not cause problems in a neighborhood. But in terms of zoning, so I'm a planner by trade. I'm nationally certified as a planner. And one of the things planners across the country are saying, in almost every jurisdiction in the country needs to have their zoning code overhauled because the foundations of it are flawed. And what I mean by that is retail and office and residential are the core pillars or foundation of a zoning code. So retail doesn't behave like it. In 25 years, it's been so different. We shop online. Post-pandemic, office has changed and even residential has changed.
Sure.
So zoning codes need to reflect how we behave as a society in the 21st century. We shop online. We work from home in many cases. My wife used to work 5 days a week in the office. Now she's 3 days a week in the office. Office space is not what it used to be post-pandemic. So we need to overhaul our zoning code, and in that overhaul, we need to make our zoning code adapt to the things we need in a 21st century society.
Next, we have Karson Kamenetz, a lifelong Baltimore County resident and son of the late county executive, Kevin Kamenetz. Karson's campaign is built around safer communities, stronger schools, and government for everyone. He studied law and worked with the Baltimore County House Delegation, but his platform reflects years spent in community meetings, listening to residents about housing costs, public safety, aging infrastructure, and neglected business corridors. He wants to revitalize Reisterstown Road and Liberty Road, expand affordable housing, preserve green space, and ensure that county government is responsive and transparent. Today on Real Stories, we are here with Karson Kamenetz. Karson, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Michael. Really appreciate it.
Really happy to have you. You got to be busy right now, I would imagine.
Yeah, 27 days to go until Election Day as we're filming this, and you got to make every day count. You wake up, you do everything you can, and then you go to bed and do it the next day. Thinking about sidewalk repairs, crosswalk repairs, the street lighting that keeps streets like that vibrant and tells business owners and investors that this is a place where you're welcome, where we want your money and investment because we're going to help you be successful. That's really the number one priority.
Can you talk to me more about your ideas on prevention, school systems as it pertains to substance use disorder?
When you talk about our kids, and what's really important to me is kids show up to school ready to learn.
And it's interesting, vaping and all these things that are so commonly available to kids, to minors, that almost gear and advertise towards them. What is your thoughts on those?
Yeah, so there's two things, right? First is from the economic corridor, economic growth perspective. If you look on Reisterstown or Liberty, there are dozens of vape shops and smoke shops, often providing unregulated substances in addition to nicotine. And you're right, they advertise it as if it's for young children, for teenagers. So I think legislatively, we can very quickly say, hey, we have to widen the distance where those vape shops are allowed to be placed or built. And I think that'll immediately result in less of them and fewer of them popping up every time there's a vacant building because it's cheaper to run those types of businesses. I think if we can prevent that, that's a good thing.
You talked about, as far as regulation or legislatively, trying to put some restrictions on businesses opening that are selling substances that will eventually be federally scheduled drugs like a kratom or things like that in the vape shops. So when we talk about zoning and use and occupancy and some things that can be done, Baltimore County has notoriously been very difficult in order to get zoning determinations for inpatient residential treatment centers. And the big issue really is, well, where do they go? It's always we need them, but never in my backyard.
Yeah, I think this is a really important issue that leaders should be honest about. We should expect honesty when it comes to trade-offs on this particular issue. I don't think a single community in this county is going to say, you know, today we welcome a methadone clinic or we welcome a treatment facility right in the heart of our community. And I think it's being honest and showing up to community association meetings and explaining why they may be necessary and how a rising tide lifts all boats. And we're all in this together as one county, and unless we can get a handle on the things that lead to violent crime and homelessness, we're not going to be able to tackle that issue full force. Since then, it's really been public service for me. I switched my major, I went to law school, was elected to the Central Committee, I served in Annapolis, and I just think we could do better. I love this place to know that it isn't perfect, and I think I'm not alone in saying that. I think that there's a stark difference between politicians and public servants. I think we should all be striving to be public servants. Politicians are folks that walk into one room, say one thing, and then walk into another and say something else. I think this moment from the national, political scene down demands leaders that are honest in each room, that are willing to be honest about trade-offs that impact different communities in different ways. And that's how I intend to govern. That's how I intend to lead this incredibly complicated new 4th district.
Amazing. And hopefully substance use disorder and mental health fall into that category of change.
It would be impossible to say otherwise. I think Baltimore County is notoriously behind when it comes to substance use aid and reentry services for folks, especially compared to neighboring counties like Anne Arundel County, which until very recently was an overwhelming Republican state, or Republican county, for example, yet they were far ahead on substance use and reentry services. I think when it's budget season, a budget is a reflection of your values. And we have to start valuing substance use and addiction treatment as the ultimate litmus test of how we treat those above and below us in society. I truly believe that, and that's what you'll see when it comes budget season from me.
Absolutely wonderful having you here, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming to Real Stories. Our third guest is Pat Young. Born and raised in Catonsville, Pat served as a U.S. Marine, including 2 combat tours in Iraq, before earning a degree at Towson University. He later served in the Maryland House of Delegates from 2015 to 2022, and is now a Baltimore County Councilman. Pat's campaign pledges to clean up our government by rejecting corporate and PAC donations and using public financing. His plan emphasizes full funding for schools, improving mental health services, investing in community programs to tackle root causes of crime, and modernizing county government with transparency and accountability. Today on The Real Story, we are here with Councilman Pat Young.
Good to be here.
Pat, thanks so much for coming.
You're welcome. Thanks for the invite.
No, absolutely. We're happy to have you. So I would imagine you are currently a councilman and running for county executive.
That's right. Current councilman for District 1 in Baltimore County. And before that, I served 8 years in the Maryland General Assembly. I was on the Appropriations Committee and served on the Health and Social Services Subcommittee. And one of the first briefings we got was about how Maryland, as well as other states, violate state law because we don't have enough beds to meet the legally required evaluation of folks that are going through the justice systems or need to be evaluated for mental health or substance abuse. And a lot of times folks will choose to go through the justice system rather than wait for an evaluation or wait for treatment, trying to make that balance between what the state and local government needs and is expected to provide versus what used to be the case of institutionalization and staying away from that and recognizing that folks are treated best when they're in the communities that they live in and when they have a support structure, support network that can help them to get treatment. And I think as a county executive, we need to do everything we can to empower the providers that are in Baltimore County, one, to stay here, but also to expand their services and be an ally in that work and recognizing that it's not just about, it's not a choice, it's a mental health issue that needs to be treated like a disease. But we don't want to push people out to other jurisdictions when we already know that receiving service and receiving care close to home is statistically proven to show that you're going to be, it's going to be more effective.
Sure.
So I think that we need to recognize, and that's also why I'm running a campaign that's publicly financed. We've turned our back on and don't accept corporation or contributions from corporations, PACs, or special interests. And I say that to get back to this concept of what does the county need and what does our community need that is lacking. And I think you hit the nail on the head that our zoning code needs to be revamped because there's all of these nuances associated, what's allowed, what's not allowed.
Sure.
And a lot of times where this is a situation of what's not allowed, so many things, there's so many nuances and exceptions for specific things because some lobbyist or some lawyer knew who to talk to try and make their development project possible through the zoning code. And now we have this hodgepodge makeup of that worked for 1 year and then contradicts another issue and then they come in and address it. I think we need to start over. We need to have a comprehensive review of our zoning process that includes, when somebody's going to try and provide services for folks in treatment or I'd say recovery, that we can have an expectation of going through what we've identified as allowable in a certain zone,
Sure.
and that they'll be able to go from one end of that spectrum of building something or opening something to then having an expectation that they'll be able to do it. Participation is key to that. And if we want to hold our government accountable and our elected officials accountable, we have to participate. And as a government and as the county executive, providing every official forum that we can either create or facilitate for folks within jurisdictions, within the county, within certain legislative districts to meet about subject matter, to then approach the council, approach the county executive about the work that they've been doing and how we can do better to address their expectations.
The last question I wanted to ask was about housing. So I think one of the other big issues, and you kind of mentioned it before, is that in our state specifically, there isn't enough licensed residential beds, certainly for people suffering from substance use disorder, mental health, but then just housing as well. So as someone goes through a process of recovery and they do well and they get sober, then where do they go? And when's the first step that they can go into that process?
The county traditionally and unfortunately has had a laissez-faire approach, a hands-off approach to almost everything. So what you end up having is folks that might have a recovery home or a stop in between when folks have gotten out of treatment, and then finding just to get back on their feet so they don't fall back into addiction. And those being few and far between, or having to go out of county or out of their neighborhood to find someplace else. I think that when we think about affordable housing and think about the opportunity that we have to rethink housing, rethink attainable homes, and addressing the needs of our community, which are not just people who are trying to live here for the first time, but also folks that currently live here and are trying to find a place to then, in some cases, recover, but also just to find an affordable place to live in the area that they grew up or stay where they've built a career and family.
Amazing. Well, thank you again for your time today. We really appreciate it. And this has been another episode of The Real Story. Finally, we talk with Steve Thomas. After joining the Anne Arundel County Police Department in 1996, he helped build and now coordinates the county's Crisis Intervention Team, otherwise known as CIT. Under his leadership, CIT expanded mobile crisis teams, created a jail diversion program, and launched the Safe Stations Initiative that allows people in crisis to seek help at any police or any fire station. A program credited with cutting the crime rate in half. Known for his philosophy of community policing, being part of a community, and acting as a peace officer, Steve explains why he's running for the Maryland House of Delegates and how his experience in mental health, focused policing, shapes his legislative priorities. Today on Real Stories, we are here with Steve Thomas. Steve, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So I wanted to start with a conversation. You are currently running for office. Tell us a little bit about what you're running for.
I'm running for the Maryland House of Delegates in District 32 in Anne Arundel County. Okay. I'm currently, August 1st, I will be retiring as a lieutenant from the Anne Arundel County Police, in which for the last 10 years, I was assigned to a crisis response as part of the CIT unit.
So for our viewers that don't know acronyms well, tell me what CIT stands for.
CIT is Crisis Intervention Team. It is really, it's a partnership of all community partners working together. So the original CIT started in Memphis, Tennessee in 1988, in which the Memphis police were involved in a fatal incident with someone in mental health crisis, and which the person died in that incident. The Memphis police partnered with the University of Memphis and came up with the CIT program. And what it is, it's everyone working together in the community, bringing all partners together to help people in crisis. Part of that is what's called CIT training, which is a 40-hour in-depth hands-on training for officers to first understand the science behind mental health, substance use, really let them understand empathy, talking to people in recovery, family members, to learn empathy, and then to learn de-escalation skills of how to help people so that there are positive outcomes.
CIT programs, crisis intervention. Can you talk to me more about what crisis intervention is? Anne Arundel County has done a phenomenal job.
Really, uniqueness is, an example is our Safe Station program. How do we help people when they want assistance? So with Safe Stations, it started in April 20th of 2017. Anyone with any addiction We could go to any police or fire station, and we would eliminate barriers to treatment so that they could get treatment, so we'd have a great positive outcome. Part of that is think of all the barriers to treatment that there are in the world.
Sure.
So that person's window of opportunity is opened 24 hours a day. We were there to get them help. And the unique part is you had police officers working hand in hand with clinicians to get people in help. It could be 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning, and we were there to help them. As how do we help people when they need help the most?
I want to talk about how unique that is. Almost no other counties in the state practice this. So you're telling me these safe spaces, someone would come in, they're not getting arrested, they're not getting reprimanded. Instead, they're getting help. They're getting sent to treatment centers if they want it.
Yep, absolutely. And the uniqueness is, think about how difficult it is. 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning, inpatient facilities are not taking, their admissions is not open.
Sure.
So we would be able to keep them safe. And it's utilizing psychological first aid. What it is providing Maslowian needs, making sure that they're not hungry, making sure that they feel safe, that they have clean clothes, that taking them to a place where they can shower, where they're not being held against their will. It's completely voluntary. Most importantly, we become their social support. And that's the uniqueness in Anne Arundel County, where the recovery community is so strong, working to help people all the way through the process, from that moment when they say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, I want help, to 10, 15 years of their sobriety for their entire life. I think of the courage it takes for someone, the vulnerability they show when they reach out and ask for help, and that we can be there non-judgmental and say, what can we do, and wrap our arms around them with love and support. And that's what leads to recovery.
How do you go about choosing the treatment centers that you would work with when someone comes into a safe space and they have that solution through a CIT training? Where do they go? How do they go?
So it's more of the clinical side where
Okay.
they work with it, but it's really having the legitimacy of the provider. It goes back that we can always say, what is someone's why? And how important that is, of what is my why in helping the community, giving back to the community. It's that part of what is the why of that provider. Is that provider there just to make money? Or is the provider someone like yourself who's in recovery? Part of your recovery is giving back to your community, and that is so important in the why. It takes a village. Understanding the science behind it, but most importantly, that emotional support from the community. Even going back to when you look at psychological first aid, the role that social support and mentors play, that I know how important it is to have a strong sponsor in the recovery world.
4 different journeys, but a common theme: public service. Whether through planning and legislation, community advocacy, the armed forces, or crisis intervention, each of these candidates brings lived experience to their campaigns. They're asking for your vote and challenging all of us to engage more deeply in local government.
With a long-standing reputation for honesty and follow-through, Charm City Builders is proud to be one of Baltimore's most trusted home buyers. And in a world of quick fixes and empty promises, Charm City Builders stands apart. We're local, we're veteran-owned, and we've been buying houses in Baltimore for years.
We buy row homes and single-family homes in any condition, and we'll give you a fair cash offer on the spot. Leave your unwanted belongings. Don't fix or clean a thing. We'll take care of it all.
Addiction shows up in a lot of ways. Sometimes it destroys lives, but sometimes it just fills your house. I've been on both sides of that line, and these days my passion has turned into something pretty incredible. Take a look.
From a galaxy far, far away, to the monsters that once terrified moviegoers, to the Ghostbusters car that turns heads everywhere it goes. Michael Silberman's collection is one of the most jaw-dropping in the country, and he's not done yet. The Ghostbusters car. Did you really find it on Facebook Marketplace?
We sure did. I couldn't believe it. You can find anything if you look hard enough on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh my gosh, dare I ask how much it set you back?
We negotiated a little bit. We landed at $15,000.
Wow, that's pretty good.
I thought so myself.
What does one do with a Ghostbusters car?
So originally we were going to keep it here, kind of show it off in the front lawn, but we really donate it to schools a lot. We do a lot of parades, things like that. If a kid's having a birthday party, we'll have someone dress up, go out, put the proton packs on. So anything like that.
What fun. It really is Halloween all year round here.
We really try our best to do so.
That's so neat. Michael, at last check, how many pieces are we talking here?
At this point, it's got to be over 5,000.
That's really remarkable. And I have to say, walking through, I just can't believe my eyes.
Thank you.
Is there one piece in particular that still stops you every time you walk by?
It's overwhelming. If I had to pick one, there's a piece from the 1960s made by a company called Aurora. It's a store display piece. Cardboard still intact. It's pretty remarkable.
I'm gonna have to look at that on my way out.
100%.
In terms of your monster memorabilia collection, I hear it's the biggest one around.
I like to think so.
Yeah.
We've gotten pieces from Bela Lugosi's estate, Vincent Price's estate. There's actually some pieces from Universal Studios that came after they shut down the cafe, which I'm really proud of. One-of-a-kind stuff.
And that's Michael's approach. No end goal, just joy. And as his collection grew, so did his vision. Silberman is now under contract to purchase the historic Pikes Theater in Pikesville. So Michael, your vision isn't just about collecting. It goes way beyond that. So why buy a theater?
I feel like it's almost selfish to keep everything here in the house and in the basement, places where people can't see them. The theater is just something so nostalgic, and it brings people out where everyone can enjoy it for free and really get a bigger audience to do so.
It's really not just about nostalgia.
No, it's about community. I think this brings back memories from, at least for me, from my childhood that make me feel happy, and I remember being a kid and that type of innocence that we had with movies and getting outside of ourselves. Bringing that together in our community, especially here at home, there's nothing more important to me.
And while Michael Silberman calls this a personal passion, the truth is it's a collection too big, too rare, and too meaningful not to share. It's a story worth telling again and again. Michael Silberman's collection doesn't just belong in a room, it belongs in the headlines. And soon, the world may be watching.
Thanks for joining us on The Real Story. You can learn more about today's guests by visiting their campaign websites, and we encourage everyone to get informed and make your voice heard in the upcoming election. If today's conversation sparked questions or inspired you, please share this episode and keep the dialogue going. I'm Michael Silberman. Until next time, keep looking out for The Real Story.